So my presentation is called the Timeless Art of Vibe Coding. Last week we had, or 2 weeks ago, we met up at the Urban Chestnut in St. Louis, and we were talking about vibe coding with AI. And I thought that was so something I've been doing for quite a while, but really getting into it a little bit more lately. And I heard this really cool podcast this weekend. It was called the AI Daily Brief, and this guy had Rick Rubin on the Daily Brief. Put a hand up if you know who Rick Rubin is. Rick Rubin is this really famous music producer. He's not a coder, and he doesn't know how to code anything, not even vibe coding. But he's done music for LL Cool J, the Beastie Boys, Run DMC, Public Enemy, Lady Gaga, Audio Slave, Aerosmith. He's pretty much the most famous music producer in history. And whenever vibe coding became a thing, not just 10 weeks ago, Rick Rubin became the de facto spokesperson for vibe coding because he doesn't know how to play any instruments. He doesn't know music, he doesn't know anything. So for whatever reason, this image took off on the internet like storm, and everybody that started vibe coding with AI, just creating whatever their mind could dream of, it's just like him producing all of these amazing songs for all these amazing people. So he is the de facto godfather of vibe coding, even though he's never vibe coded. So I thought that was really cool. Yeah, there's hundreds of these memes. If you guys check it out, I've seen them all over the place. I had no idea what these memes were about or who this guy was. I've heard of his name, but I just thought it was really cool whenever I heard the whole podcast. So kind of going back to his like the art of the Tao of whatever, the Lao Tzu. It's kind of a vibe that says, let your being become the spirit of whatever you're trying to create. So it was pretty cool. So he stole that from Lao Tzu, and I stole it from him. So this is the intro slide. All right. So this is the agenda. We're going to talk about Rick Rubin, which we just did. We're going to talk about inverse displacement, coding with AI, with Gen AI. We're going to talk about no-code automations, and then finally we're going to talk about vibe coding. All right. So this is what I've been doing, and this is one of the quotes for. Oh, so anyway, he also Rick Rubin got this cool contract gig with Anthropic, and they have this really cool website. And if you check it out, the website is titled the Art of Vibe Coding or whatever. So if you can Google it and pull it up, and it's basically a whole book based on his thoughts on vibe coding, even though he's not a vibe coder. And I think that's kind of the theme that I'm kind of playing with throughout all of my experimentation with AI. It's like, I want to be a writer, but I'm not a writer, but I can be with AI. I want to be a coder, but I'm not a coder, but I can be with AI. I can just like fake my entire credentials with AI, and I think that's really awesome. So I think that's kind of the vibe, right? All right, so disclaimer, I'm not qualified to talk about any of this. I don't know anything about coding. I know zero about coding. Yeah. Neither does Rick Rubin. So I'm just as qualified to talk about vibe coding as Rick Rubin is. So I don't have imposter syndrome at all, not even a little bit. I don't have a computer science degree. I've never coded ever until I experienced artificial intelligence. I don't know what a function is. Actually, I lie. I do now because I asked ChatGPT last week what a function is, how to define a function, and how to call a function. And I just learned this. Thank you, ChatGPT. It's all part of vibe coding. It's important that you know that. But what I do have, my real credentials, is I have over 20 years in medical robotics. Here's me back in 2009-ish writing this really cool industrial robot with an X-ray C-arm mounted to the top of it while I was working at Baylor University, helping the research scientists do validation testing for FDA requirements. And this is me more like maybe a couple weeks ago working on our new robots at Stereotaxis here in St. Louis. So that's what I do. So I do have some credentials. I'm super geeky, super tech. A whole lifetime in tech. I was building websites when I was a kid in basically diapers. Actually, when I was 16, I got a job as the web developer for a local telco. So, but I also run a video production company, 1027 Productions. I do short form video production mostly. I always try to have at least one pro bono customer at a time. So I've done the Goshen Farmers Market. I've worked with over 30 companies in the St. Louis Metro East. The Missouri Mycological Society, I'm really into mushrooms, did a lot of work with them. Now I'm currently working for the Village of Glen Carbon, so that's my pro bono. I'm also the primary media contributor to Fungi Magazine, which is the largest multimedia, or the largest mycological company magazine publication in North America. So that's opened me up to a lot of really cool things like the Telluride Mushroom Festival, and I'm going to Turkey this fall to film studies on mushroom diversity and fungi. So, any questions on that? So I am kind of qualified, but I'm not as far as coding. I'm just super geeky. That's all I'm pointing out. That's the point of this. I know a lot of you guys already know a lot about AI. Everybody here is really just kind of deep diving AI. So what is AI literacy and what does it mean? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to me? Well, I think it's important that we understand what AI can and cannot do. We need to understand, it's kind of more like a person than a program. It can make mistakes. You can kind of understand what it's doing and what it's not doing. You need to be able to communicate with AI just the same way you can communicate with a coworker or a colleague. You have to communicate well. You have to provide a lot of context in the communications. You can't just say, do this thing for me. It just won't work. You can use it to complete complex work, to experiment, prompting, refining, retrying, creatively adapting AI responses. And I think it's really important to emphasize the creativity aspect of it because you're the one driving it. You have the human creativity. Vibe coding tools. So we're going to actually start getting into vibe coding. Okay, so the first thing is just code-generated AI models. You can kind of vibe code without actually vibe coding. You can just use ChatGPT straight from the web interface and ask it to write some code for you, and it will. You can copy and paste that code directly into a notepad and save it as a script. You can run that script as a bash file or as, in my case, a PowerShell script. And in this example, I just used ChatGPT to create a script that would scrape videos for me. I've created a lot of these different types of scripts. You can scrape websites, you can scrape RSS feeds and stuff like that. So this particular script is just, it's a lot longer, and this is just a bit of a screenshot, but this pulls a YouTube video. It transcodes it into 30 frames per second that I can edit it in my editor. It combines the audio and the video. It also transcribes the video, so it takes the text out of it as well, so I can easily search it and apply that content to my content that I'm creating. This took all of about 30 minutes, maybe 3 or 4 different iterations. It pretty much worked right off the bat. Super easy, just straight from there, all right? So that's the example that I use here for vibe coding. Let's talk about no coding tools, Zapier, Make.com, N8N, which is the really popular one right now. So whenever I started using these no code automation tools, there's one called IFTTT. Did anybody remember IFTTT? It was before Zapier, and then Zapier became popular and expensive, and nobody liked Zapier anymore, so they went to Make. And now N8N you can run locally, so everybody's running N8N. N8N is just like, these are all kind of the same concept, these node-based, step at a time, you can just do these automations, and they're relatively easy to figure out. I think, coming back to your consulting thing, I think most people that are doing AI consulting are doing these types of automations. Am I wrong? Yeah? Yeah, this is where it's at right now. I don't know how long this is going to last. I kind of feel like there's probably money in it. But I feel like everything's going towards vibe coding eventually. I don't know if the vibe coding's there yet, but this is really kind of powerful. So you can do a lot of things with this. You can create entire virtual assistants. One of my favorite use cases is RAG. I used N8N and Flowwise, which is one that I don't even have listed up here. Flowwise is an open source version. It's completely free, and it's like really LLM central, and it's really cool because you can learn a lot about how language models work. You can learn about the vector stores. You can learn about the vector databases and get a visual representation of it. So if you haven't done these no-code tools, I definitely recommend that you try them, even if, because it just really helps you understand what's going on. I think it's pretty cool. Basically anything that you can automate, you can do with these tools. Last ones I did was like Make.com. I used it to scrape Reddit. You know what I mean? Well, it was a little bit more than that. I would scrape Reddit for a specific question. If anybody asked a question related to a certain topic, and then it would automatically post a response to it with a link to my website, so that way I could rank higher in SEO. It was kind of cool. It worked pretty well. Just using, it was Make.com. Web-based. These platforms, I've heard a lot of good things. I haven't tried them, so I'm not going to talk about these much, but this is Replit and Lovable.dev. Has anybody tried Replit or Lovable.dev? I haven't tried them yet. From what I understand, they're super easy. It works really great. If you're looking to prototype something super fast and you want to get a minimally viable product, that's where it's at. You can just kind of basically tell it what to do and it goes. I've had a number of good friends that prefer Replit basically over just about anything. So if you guys try it out, let me know how it goes. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on them. My thought, I don't know why these work so well, but I'm guessing is because they have like a really well-defined environment that's already like predefined in the language models, and that's how they just like do very well at what they're doing. It's a guess. And then this is where I'm at. So this is what I've spent the past, actually I started doing this quite a while ago, probably back in January. Which makes me pretty much one of the world's experts at vibe coding, right? Because 3 months of experience at this makes you a world expert. Cursor, Windsurf, GitHub Copilot, these are all IDEs that are they're based on VS Code. Basically extensions for language models built into them. I challenged myself to use exclusively Windsurf for about a week, and it worked relatively well. I think this screenshot is Windsurf. No, it's Cursor. I'm not sure. They're really so close to the same. So these IDEs, over on the right side, you have the chat windows where you can talk to the language model. Here in the middle, you have a terminal. So you can talk to whatever terminal you have. If you have multiple terminals, you can launch multiple terminals. So you can launch PowerShell if you have a Windows subsystem for Linux, or if you run Linux, you can have that terminal there as well. And then you can send commands through the terminal. You can tell your chat model to send commands to your terminal for you. It's incredibly powerful. You can do entire front end, back end, and you can do everything if you just prompt it well enough. Right. So this is I think where just about everything is going. Something similar to this. This is where I think this is probably going to be more powerful than those no code options, because everybody, and I think this is going to be the death of SaaS. I think SaaS is going to be dead because of this. All right, so this is my expert opinion of my 2 weeks of vibe coding. These are my lessons learned. Understand the APIs and the cost of the models. I mean, you can just watch the models just tick up and your money just go away. ChatGPT is kind of expensive and it's not super awesome at coding. Gemini 2.5 and Claude are probably the best, and you will probably save money even though they're more expensive than ChatGPT, because they're going to get it right the first time and not have to reiterate over and over again. That's what I've learned. I see you looking, you're like, this is my experience. So DeepSeek is super cheap. I haven't played with DeepSeek since it came out. I'm hoping a new version of DeepSeek comes out soon because I think it's going to be awesome. So I'm going to keep that one on my radar. Use different combinations of models. Switch back and forth. You can use one model to orchestrate. You can use another model to write code. You can do any number of different really cool combinations to make it super effective. Whenever you get stuck in a death loop, one of those loops where just like you find the same bug over and over and over again, switch your model, see if it helps. That really helps me quite a bit. Secure your API keys. This is one. This is kind of interesting. So the models will hard code your API keys into your code. If you're committing that to Git, you've just put your API keys so the world can see it. And they actually have a lot of bots out there that are constantly scraping Git for these API keys, and you're going to lose your $20. So just assume that you're going to lose your $20 at some point. Make sure you set a limit on your API for $20. Because even if you do this with the language models, there's probably still a good chance that your API key is going to get leaked and you're going to lose your $20. All right, so that's some security stuff. And also, like, if you don't know coding, apparently if you don't secure your databases as well, that's a it's okay. I don't know any of that. So that's another security concern. But the best things that I did probably just recently is I learned to really make it modularize what you're doing. Break it down into little tiny components as much as you can. If you don't know how to do that, ask ChatGPT how to do that. How can I take this and make it smaller? And then work on that one specific modular component at a time, and then test it. You can actually tell the language model to test your modular component, and it will. And then once you have that whole series of modular components tested, then start piecing it together. And that's been especially whenever you start like going into bigger projects, And then the last thing is start with a really simple version of what you're trying to do. If you've never vibe coded before, I think most people here seem like they're pretty knowledgeable at coding. I'm not. So what I like to do is I'd like to try to start with a really simple one. I don't even need a GUI. I just want something that works first, and I want to know if it works. Sure.
If vibe coding is going to lose you $20, what's to prevent it from losing the rest of your wallet?
What do you mean? I'm sorry?
Vibe coding is sloppy enough that it'll leak your API key to a public repo, but without you necessarily issuing a command line get pushed. What's to prevent it from, a locally running LLM from doing a full scan of your laptop to find your social security number again?
Oh man, I've heard some horror stories about like prompt injection, where like you can convince your language model that's running on your local machine to like tell all the secrets and stuff like that. I'm not doing that. I'm not scraping stuff with a language model. I'm not really trying to make it available that I'm running it locally. If I do run it locally, I don't share any of that locally. And if I do it in AWS, so all of my stuff's like kind of separate in an EC2. That's what I've been doing. But yeah, that's a really good point. It's certainly possible that somebody can find your whole secrets and all kinds of passwords and stuff like that super easy.
Lawrence is trying to figure out how to vibe code a new bank interface.
Yeah, you probably could, man. Like I feel, yeah. So I understand. There's probably a good amount of security risk with vibe coding, and I think that it's probably super dangerous for what I'm doing. Luckily, I don't really keep my banking information on whatever I'm using it. So, like, do you think it's possible? Do you think you could do it? Like I'm not going to post my credit card information to Git, I mean, so, maybe I guess they can find me and find my, but just the same as anything else, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
And which, by the way, I'm just learning Git too, so I don't know anything about Git, so keep that in mind.
I love having a speaker that knows nothing about Windows. It's like the best presentation ever.
Oh, yay. Well, I'm really enjoying this, so I hope you guys let me do more of these things. So again, start with something like if you don't know what you're doing, start with something super simple, and then build onto it from there. Or what I like to do is I like to just start completely from scratch, because whenever I do the super simple thing, I realize 100 different ways why I could have done it better, and then I just scrap the whole thing and I just start all over again, and I spend the extra $10 on the API key. So what is vibe coding? AI is literally leveling the playing field. Anybody can just create and imagine things. I think that's really cool. It's coming back to this question, is vibe coding really just coding with AI, or is it like a whole mindset? Learn AI to unlock your creativity. I don't have creativity. I'm not super creative, but I feel like I can kind of guide it in a certain direction. We can orchestrate with the tools. We can command these tools to do the things that we want to do. Credentials basically really no longer matter. As intelligence becomes readily available to everybody for nearly free intelligence to everybody, what is that going to do to credentials? Your bachelor's, your master's, your doctorate degree, what is that going to mean? What's the value of that in the future? So those are the one things that I want to take away. I think those are the more important concepts than actually vibe coding. So if you guys haven't vibe coded, just do it, enjoy it, have fun, make some mistakes, and make something weird, right? Any questions? Yeah. So this is another thing. Just try to think about what can AI not do. And this is my mindset here. What am I trying to do? Creativity, leadership, influence, empathy, public speaking. This is why I'm here. Like, I'm challenging myself to do this. I'm super nervous, but you know what? I don't see an AI standing up here giving presentations anytime soon. So this is something that's not going to be replaced by AI. So these are the more important concepts of the vibe coding conversation than anything. Explore new techniques.
How far have you pushed its abilities to create? What's the biggest feeling program you've got?
It's super embarrassing. I'm just working on a book writer, and what I want to do is I want it to be able to write an entire chapter of a book and maintain context throughout the book, right? So as the book is getting written a section at a time, it's uploading the new content to a vector store, and it's referencing the new context as it's being written. So that way you can have constant characters and themes and flows throughout the entire book. So ultimately, I want to fake my credentials like Rick Rubin, right? I want to become an author even though I don't know how to write. So that's my goal, right? So Rick Rubin doesn't know music, and he's a music producer. So that's what I'm doing. So I built a rudimentary version that worked relatively well. Now I'm building a version that has the vector store. It's got the database, and it's also got a nice little user interface, and you can sign up for it, and other people can use it as well. That's the most advanced thing that I've been working on, and I'm just about done. I'm super close. It's kind of working actually, and it's super exciting. Anything else? Any questions? So I think that kind of comes around to your topic. You were talking about writing magazines, right? Just a little bit ago.
Well, it was for a talk.
Oh, it was for a talk?
It evolved from just help me with a talk to let's go ahead and make a magazine, and then I'll just in the talk cover the magazine, and then instantly you have here's the rest of it. Because it's so easy just to have these, I'm calling them minions, have the LLM fill in so many gaps that you just direct what you want to associate it with some other articles and things like that. Not the greatest, I'm sure, but fair.
I think that
Probably literally average.
probably. So I think those no-code tools, like I would have had this done like after the first day if I used the no-code tools, but I think vibe coding would made it a little bit harder, a little bit more challenging. There's also stuff that keeps coming out, man. It just changes so rapidly. Claude 4, like it took probably like 4 days worth of coding, and it packed it into like two days or 2 hours worth of work for me. It was really awesome. GPT OpenAI Codex came out, and that looks really amazing, but I can't afford the $200 to try it. So, has anybody tried the Codex yet? You have? Is that cool or what? No, it's not.
It's cool, absolutely.
But I think a lot of people are coming out with that same concept, right?
Now has a free tier as of the other day.
Okay.
Try that, and it's
So when I watched the videos on the Codex, that's what inspired me to start implementing my own tests, and it's genius. It's brilliant. But yeah, you're gonna spend a lot more on your API keys, but yeah, I don't know. Is it worth it? $200? Maybe, probably. If you're doing it full time. Not me. That's it. That's all I got, guys. Yay! Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. It's so fun.